In a world that is constantly changing and evolving, flora and fauna have thrived to adapt to the harsh landscapes of Australia. The following presentation will encase a fieldwork experience under the overarching theme of Australian environments, landscape, and ecosystems. The unit of work will culminate with a fieldwork experience at the conserved site of the Royal Botanical Garden, Cranbourne. These gardens are situated 43 kilometres southeast of Melbourne's CBD and offer a natural bushland experience alongside the Australian Garden, which is an accurate representation of the ecosystems of Australia. The Australian Garden celebrates the beauty and diversity of Australian landscapes and features approximately 170,000 plants from 1,700 plant varieties.
Students will take the opportunity to explore multiple facets of the Australian landscape through immersing themselves in the different types of environments at the Royal Botanical Gardens. This fieldwork experience will delve deep into the small intricacies of nature and build a sense of empathy and understanding among students of how flora and fauna adapt to different environments through physical and sensory exposure. The aim of this fieldwork is to allow students to engage in a fun and interactive learning experience, which evokes them to step into the shoes of a botanist or geologist as they go about filling in a fact file about the specific plants and environments. They will analyse the features of their chosen plant and establish links to the specific environments they exist in, addressing the Victorian geography curriculum in not only practical skills such as interpreting maps and recording geographical data and information using digital and spatial technologies, but also content knowledge reflecting environmental influences of location and characteristics of places through visual, sensory, and physical interaction with the environment. Before commencing the experience, students will have prior knowledge about the different types of environments present in the Australian landscape. These include deserts, bushlands, grasslands, tropical and temperate rainforests, wetlands, and beaches. Although the site does not entail all of these environments, it provides an in-depth field of the types of vegetation present in a few of the landscapes studied. As an introductory activity, students will be participating in a guided RBG program, Australian Environments, designed to expose students to analysis and observation skills through investigating a mixture of seed pods, skulls, and scats, exploring the health and biodiversity of the aquatic environment and given a general tour of where everything is. Students will then have the opportunity to complete their research booklets, which using guided inquiry enables them to position themselves as botanists or geologists to research and explore open prompts, such as analyze and explain some distinct features of your chosen plant, which helps it survive in the environment it exists in.
The fieldwork experience situates itself within the realms of the house curriculum, predominantly through its links to the Victorian geography curriculum. The experiences we have designed, specific to the fieldwork location, expand students' knowledge as guided by the content descriptors of the Year 5 to 6 Victorian curriculum. For example, students will be researching the types of flora and fauna found in specific environments to address the content descriptor. Describe and explain the diverse characteristics of place in different locations from local to global scales. This being said, it does have the potential to streamline into the history curriculum through themes such as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders culture and connections to the land, and furthermore, the cross-curricular priorities of sustainability. Concepts of the science curriculum may also be integrated. The fieldwork excursion will comprise of 2 classes of 23 students. Under the supervision of 3 staff members, the fieldwork will incur a cost of $30 per student, including transportations to the Royal Botanical Cranbourne Gardens. Before the fieldwork can take place, parents will be informed and receive a consent letter asking permission for students to participate in this fieldwork as part of their house unit learning. The form will include details of the child details, emergency contacts, and allergies to be filled out prior to the field trip. The consent form will also outline details and requirements such as attendance in full school uniform, bringing lunch, raincoat or umbrellas, and face masks to have on the day. The school will ensure this field work will be COVID-19 safe for all students by providing hand sanitizer and regulating a safe distance where necessary. The following table outlines the timeline of the day that students will be undertaking on site.
Prior to the excursion, students will have been exposed to interactive resources such as iNaturalist during class to scaffold their learning and build their fieldwork into an authentic learning experience where they are involved in the planning of their research. Using this interactive map, they will have gauged the type of flora and fauna found in different locations within the RBG and furthermore hone their abilities to read maps. They'll have used this to note down flora and fauna they wish to research during the fieldwork experience. During the fieldwork experience, students will be supplied with writing utensils and an activity handbook which will comprise guided instruction as to what they need to look for. Within the booklet will include tasks to be completed during the fieldwork, such as observation records including drawings of flora and fauna, location of the flora and fauna marked on a map drawn by the students, information about the plants which may include scientific and indigenous names, distinct qualities and features, and how these may be used to survive in the environment that they're in. The booklet will also include post-fieldwork activities such as a reflection component. Additional resources to assist in the documentation of observations will include the use of cameras. Supervising teachers or parents will hold cameras and lend them out to students when required.
Parents and carers are welcome to join in as volunteer supervisors to facilitate the field trip and assist students with their learning task. However, it is important that parents are aware that they are not there to complete tasks for students, but rather to adopt a supervisory role. Assessment comprises a series of formative and summative areas and begins prior to the fieldwork experience. Students' ability to pose questions to indicate their research and what they will be looking for during the planning phase will be observed. On-site, formative assessment strategies will include completion of the required task in their booklets, observing their abilities to navigate the gardens using provided maps, and teacher questioning to gauge their progress. Students will be aware that their engagement and participation in the program will be an important part of the assessment. This research will ultimately culminate at a post-fieldwork summative assessment task where the research findings will be presented in a format of their choice. Students will be assessed on the research they present and whether it provides a holistic perspective about their chosen research specimen. They will be provided a rubric which they will use to gauge their requirements and self-assess after their submission.
The predominant pedagogical approach of the fieldwork is delivered through student-centered guided inquiry, in particular drawing from the 5 E's model. Prior to the fieldwork, gradual release of responsibility will be used to initially teach students before the cognitive weight is gradually released. Using authentic tasks which position students to do the work of researchers during the fieldwork as a reflection of the explore phase, from planning to collecting data, students carry out hands-on investigation, which they can explore concepts and skills. Being engaged in all these phases of the fieldwork develops students' critical and creative thinking skills, such as reason, logic, resourcefulness, imagination, and innovation as listed in the Australian curriculum. During this phase, and particularly in the post-fieldwork assessment, students will use a method they deem most appropriate to explain and elaborate their research. Students will be encouraged to use strategies such as think, pair, share to ask questions, discuss and compare their ideas with each other. Opportunities to reflect on their learning in the evaluate phase will be present not only during the fieldwork, where teachers will guide this reflection, posing questions such as, were you able to find out how this plant survives in the environment, but also self-reflection after they've given their presentation. In understanding the impact of context such as students' social, economic, and intellectual circumstances on learners, alongside students with additional needs, adjustments and support will be made available. For example, for families who may struggle to meet the financial requirements of the fieldwork, the school will apply for CSEF, camp, sports, and excursion fund funding, and support wherever possible. A teaching aide will be present to support students with disabilities and for students who require more specific instruction. Clear communication with the student's aide will be made to ensure they can provide direct instruction where necessary. Wheelchair access is also available should it be required. In order to cater to a diverse range of learners in the assessment aspect of the fieldwork, students may elect to present their findings through a variety of methods. Those who are uncomfortable with presenting to the class may create a video, poster, or present individually to the teacher. Furthermore, it is also important to note that the RBG follows a Child Safety Code of Conduct and will assist in ensuring the safety and accessibility of the gardens.
The limitations of this fieldwork can be considered in behavioural management, where students may become distracted and lose track of their focus. Therefore, students must be guided and instructions must be made explicit, so they understand the purpose and the requirements of the fieldwork. Another limitation of this fieldwork is the budgeting to facilitate the fieldwork. However, we have considered supportive and fundraising to facilitate this fieldwork by assisting students who are not able to afford the costs. Although limitations to this fieldwork experience inevitably exist, the strength undoubtedly outweighs the weaknesses. The strength of this fieldwork experience is that students will be able to learn outside the formal classroom environment. According to Wood and Walker, developing a fieldwork-based lesson outside the classroom facilitates a greater understanding and awareness of the content being taught. Another strength of this fieldwork is the immersive experience students will have when they are on site that is relevant to the HAS unit. The Royal Botanical Cranbourne Garden is also easily accessible for people with a disability. Students with crutches or wheelchairs will have no issue navigating around the garden. The use of a student-centered learning approach embedded in the nature of fieldwork means that students are able to take ownership of their learning and build a sense of agency to research what they may be passionate about.